US dollar is failing in records in 2025, has lost more than 10%, more than 13% against euro and 6% against Japanese yen. And this fall will not stop just because Trump is doing good deals in tariffs with EU or with UK, Canada, or maybe even with China, because there are specific factors that are leading towards the fall of US dollar. And actually, Ray Dalio has predicted pretty well on its video, on its book, how every 100 years the global reserve currency lose its dominance. And that's not bad news at all for the investors. For people who are looking to invest in assets, that's actually a huge opportunity to be rich as And if you stay until the end of this video, I'll share with you my analysis on how you can take full advantage of the fall of US dollar and make a lot of profit from this crisis, because the biggest profit are made from this crisis. So US dollar is losing its trust worldwide. The Ministry of Japanese said that the investors are not choosing anymore to buy US treasuries, US bonds, and the countries are also dumping and not buying any more US treasuries. And those are some of the key factors of the US dollar failing. So the things are changing rapidly, and the fall of the US dollar being used as reserve currency or being held from countries or from banks are in a fall, and actually is not new, is consistently in fall in the last 50 years, and especially in the last 10 years is just falling more and more down. And what is expected is that until 2030, the US dollar will actually lose its role as the world reserve currency. And guess which one will take that place? Bitcoin, of course. There's not going to be the Chinese yen. There's not going to be the BRICS currency or any currency that belongs just to a country. Now, governments are diversifying in gold, in Bitcoin. Also, the governments have started already diversifying in Bitcoin as well, and actually will be huge diversification the next few years about that. The banks already, the institutions as well, the funds, the family offices, the high net worth individuals, and they are dumping more and more the US dollar. And now with the tariffs, even Trump trying to protect the US economy and to increase the US economy, for the US economy it may not be necessarily bad, the fall of the US dollar itself in general, because it will not necessarily decrease the life of the US people, but as a reserve currency will not be there, which means that other assets will have higher value against US dollar and of course also against other fiat currencies. Just so you know, if you have not realized yet, you will lose 7 to 8% just from the inflation over time just by holding fiat. So there is no point to hold fiat over time, because it's a mechanism of losing. It's not a mechanism of saving. Even your savings will lose the purchasing power over time. And the US, even the Trump itself, is not trying really to stop this fall of the dollar. He's trying to protect US dollar. He's trying to protect the US economy, and maybe something may change for good in the next months or 1 year or maybe next 2 years for the US dollar and his strategies, because he's doing good deals with EU, he's doing good deals with UK, and probably will have a great deal also with China. In when I say great deal, to favor US, don't make me wrong, is not necessarily for the rest of the world. But what you have to realize here is where the money is going, how the game is being played, what are the rules, and what is coming next based on these strategies. Trump just signed also this big beautiful bill, as he named it, which has in his plan to print $5 trillion until 2030. And this is huge. This will increase the debt. This will increase more the inflation, and anything else that is valued against dollar, it will have more value, and especially Bitcoin, which is limited in supply. And that's why I'm putting more than 90% of my time, my investment, my energy every single day by accumulating more Bitcoin as individual, more Bitcoin as a Bitcoin treasury for my Bitcoin mining company. And that's something that you can do too. You can buy Bitcoin, or if you want to accumulate more Bitcoin with the same capital than buying Bitcoin, you can mine Bitcoin, and you can also mine with us from Bitcoin Mining. You can check out our website and our channel here on YouTube, and you can learn more about it. But what you have to understand here is that the US dollar is failing, and it's a huge opportunity, first to protect your wealth, to protect your purchasing power, your savings, and the second is to increase by investing them in real assets. If you don't understand Bitcoin, choose at least gold. The worst case scenario, choose gold. Don't hold cash more than you need to use daily for daily expenses or living or something. That's something that thousands of people, experts, financial advisors, the whole Wall Street is trying to advise people to do. Don't hold cash. Cash is trash because it's designed to decrease the value over time. Otherwise, the whole economy, the whole system will collapse and go to the ground. And US dollar will not remain over time as the reserve currency. There's a huge economic war between China and the United States, and China together with other countries, with the BRICS countries against the United States. Let's be honest, Trump did a great job about US economy. He put a lot of pressure in the BRICS countries to not create this BRICS currency and to not ditch the US dollar on the international trades. They're still using it, but over time it cannot be maintained. I can go in many details. I will give you guys some references here to go in details how this is impossible to keep it. And I personally do believe that in the next 2 to 3 years we're going to see an economic war being escalated, especially between China and United States. And I do believe that we're going to see cyber attack, quantum attack, something we're going to see, and the China is going to try to destroy the US economy despite the deals that they're trying to do. They are desperately trying to attack from every possible corner. And Trump will not be there forever. He's doing probably a great job right now trying to protect it. I do believe that, whatever you believe for him as a personality or as a politician, that he's using quite well his power as the president and he's getting good deals for the United States. But that doesn't mean necessarily that will stay forever, because he in a few years will leave. And also he's getting older and older. It doesn't mean that in 1, 2, 3 years will be the same as this year. It's right now really quite old. Okay, so let's be fair and transparent here, which means that will not save the economy forever. Okay, then we don't know what's going to happen after 2028, who's going to be the next president and how things will flow after that time. Probably some policies can maintain for some time, but what you see here is that what has been actually broken is the trust from other countries, institutions towards US. There is not the same trust as it was in 1980 when the US dollar was used more than 80% worldwide. And now you can see clearly the graphs, the stats that is lower than 57% used worldwide. And this graph is just going down. There is not something that is happening right now. And now that we have more innovation, more people are aware, more advanced other countries as well, not just United States, they're going to diversify. They're going to choose something that they are not going to be dependent on the crazy, sleepy Joe Biden or similar to Joe Biden in the future, or crazy Trump, because some people think that Trump is super crazy, or some other things that Biden was super bad. Maybe both are bad or good, whatever. I'm just going to leave it up to you. I'm not going to go much into the political thing in this video. But what you see here is that people and governments and banks and institutions don't want anymore to be dependent in one government for the future of their finance, for the future of their country. So that's why they're going to diversify in gold, in Bitcoin. Almost every country in the planet in the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to own Bitcoin or some portion, some part of their portfolio in Bitcoin. The central banks are going to do too. The banks in general are going to do too. The people are going to do too. Even the ECB, the European Central Bank, was worried, was scared that the euro will lose because of the stable coins. And now actually the United States, by passing the Genius Act, they're trying to enforce the US dollar and to save their debt by pushing the stable coins, because the stable coins are backed by US debt and they are enforcing the US dollar. So this is what is happening. And you know what? If you try to make sense in all this drama about debt and the currencies and all this, is super crazy, and probably you will not make that much sense neither. I would definitely suggest you guys that at least you watch this video of Ray Dalio, where he goes in very much details in explaining how every 100 years the global reserve currency changes. And I strongly believe that the new one now is going to be Bitcoin, and I'm not the only one. There's so many people that are predicting that one as well. And as I said before, personally, I have invested more than 90% of my time and my energy on Bitcoin, trying to accumulate more, especially for the next 5 to 10 years. And actually, overall, the target is not just to accumulate some Bitcoin and have our own profit, but because the advance of the technology is so high right now, it's going to be so crazy that it's very difficult to predict about what's going to be the next 5 to 10 years. Just imagine that the GPT-5 will be soon out in a few months before the end of this year, and the GPT-5 will be much more smarter, way smarter than a human being. And the quantum computing is already out, but it's going to start rolling out next year in 2026, 2027, and until 2030, there will be so much different from what is now the technology. And what I'm trying to do, me with my team, with my partners, is to build and to own our own banking system or central bank by having our own mining machines, which are the Bitcoin miners. And this is another higher level than just owning some Bitcoins, because we will be producing, which means that at any possible attack on the Bitcoin itself or in the financial system, etc., we will have our own machines producing 24/7. And also this diversify in different countries on that, and even our own Bitcoin mining pool. So that's what I'm working, and that's the number one strategy that I would recommend to everyone right now, or to anyone who can possibly do that. At least own some Bitcoin or some part of Bitcoin Satoshi. So that's all I got for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you find some value. Smash that like button if you want to see more videos like this in the future, and subscribe to my channel as well, and see you into the next video.